Alright, we're going to do a few tips for the to-do list, things that I didn't mention in the other tkinter widgets video, but that will probably be useful to you when you're doing this. So let's get started here by importing tkinter as tk. And then we do our usual thing where we go window, or whatever you want to call the root instance of tk, and we'll just do that. So what we want to do is we want to be able to make a new window, and so we do that by going, we'll call it win1 for example, and we do tk.top-level of window, and if we run that, well, should we run that yet? Sure, let's just see. And so there's original and there's the new one. Okay, let's do something with those. So let's make, say, for example, a login screen. Let's make it a little bigger, 400 times 400 pixels, and let's give it a username label equals tk.label. Okay, so what we're doing here is, so I put win1 so that we can see that it is actually win1, and then what I've done is I've packed the label. So I use username label.pack. You saw in the other video where I used grid. Pack is very similar in that it places the widget on the screen, but it's a little bit different way of doing it. I don't need to do column and row. I can just pack and then it will be there. So let's test that out. And so you can see here's my win1 and it appears on the screen. Here's my original root window, and then here's the one that I created on top of that. I don't want it to show all the time. I don't want it to, have to drag this out of the way to actually see anything here. I want this one to be there just kind of underneath everything. So I want this to be invisible. I can do that by doing withdraw. So I'll just go window.withdraw. And so now when I run it, just this one appears. The other one is still there, but it's invisible. You can make things visible and invisible by using withdraw, and then the opposite I think is called de-iconify. You can look that up if you need to do that. You'll also notice that I used tk.label instead of, I think in the other video I just put label. That's because this time I imported tkinter as tk, and so it created an instance called tk, which I can use, which I used to do that. It's the same thing. It just depends on how you choose to do it. All right, let's make myself a button. Let's say password submit button. tk.button. So in this case, you'll see that I have this window, but I used win1 because I wanted it to appear in the win1 window. I also want this button to appear in the win1 window. So I'll do that. Submit, and then command equals submit password. And so that means, I gotta pack it. Pack password submit.pack. And so now when I run it, I will see, I need to create a function. I need to create the function first. It's trying to look for that and can't find it. No problem. Create the function. Submit pass. So what do I want to do in here? Well, I want to create a new window, so I will. Win2 equals tk.top-level window. Okay, so this is going to create another window for me. Let's just try that out. Okay, submit button is here. So when I did the pack, it just puts it underneath. That's fine. Submit, and another window appears there. Okay, so everything is working as I want it to work. That's good. All right, next, I'm going to, let's just give it a label, but before I give it a label, I want to put some stuff onto this second window. So what do I want to put there? Well, let's make it a little bigger first. So win2.geometry, and we'll say also 400x400. Okay, and then I want to make a counter. Okay, so we'll put a counter out here. A counter equals 0. So usually when I'm inside a function, the only variables you can see from inside a function are the variables that are in the function. And so the usual way of getting things into functions is to pass them in. So when I made the function call here, I would pass something in. tkinter does not allow us to do that. And so what happens is we have to make all our variables global. So that's why this is out here. It's not inside the function. And then I can use it inside the function if I declare global counter. That means I'm looking outside to find the counter, which is 0. And so what am I going to do? I'm just going to increment my counter. And then I'm going to display it. So counter label equals tk.label. This time I want it to appear in the win2 window. And the text will just be the counter. And counter label dot pack. And yeah, like that. And run it. And submit. And so it's 1, right? Which is what we expect because it was 0. I added 1, so it's 1. Alright, so now I am going to make another button that will destroy this window. So let's make a quit button. And again, tk button, tk.button. And I want it to appear in the second window, or window 2. Command equals, and we're going to have to make a new function called destroy window, because I just called it there. And we'll just pack the button. And we'll just make our new function, def destroy window. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say win2.destroy. So that will destroy this window. Okay, that's what the destroy does. Let's run it. And we'll press my quit button, and it's not defined. You know why? Because it's using this variable, but this variable was defined here in this function, and we know that this function cannot see anything that is from outside the function. So we need to make win2 a global variable as well. So to do that, we'll just do global win2, and now we can yeah, I think we should be able to see it now. So let's try it. Submit, quit. Okay, and so you can see that that window disappeared. It was destroyed. So that destroy window worked. Now if I submit again, you can see it's now 2. Because it's going through this code again and it's plussing 1 again. And so we can quit again. I lost my window. Submit, quit. So you can see every time it is going to add 1 more. Okay. So with the pack, so let's talk about this pack for a minute. So you could use grid and it would work totally fine, and in some cases that's what you need. Pack is like a simpler way to do it because it does some of the work for you, and so you can, but it's a little limiting in some ways, but then the simplicity is also nice. So you could say, so by default, it goes from the top and it, stacks things kind of going down from the top. So the counter, so that little number will appear first at the very top, and then at the top underneath what is already there will be the quit button. So that's how it already was. And so there's at the top, and there underneath is the quit. I could try saying bottom. Okay, and so then this would appear at the very bottom, the number, and then the button would appear like the second from the bottom. Let's try that. And so there you see numbers at the very bottom, and then the button is second from the bottom. And you can also use right and left. Let's go left, left. And so there you go. There's your number at the very, very left, and then there's your button second from the left. So that's how the pack works. All right, I think that is, nope, there's one more thing that I want to try before we leave, which is sorting. So one of the requirements is to sort your entries in your task list. And so I want to show you how you could easily sort something in JSON format. So JSON, by definition, is actually unsorted. So you can't sort it. I'm just going to make a quick, in fact, I'm going to copy this one that I already have. So I've got my JSON list here. And so that's, you know, if you read it in from the JSON file, it'll look like a dictionary. This is a dictionary. So in order to sort it, you can't sort dictionaries because they are by definition unsorted, but you can sort lists. Okay, so to get it into a list, you're going to go like this: JSON list2 equals list JSON list2 dot values. Okay, so that will put each of these values in the dictionary into a list. And so let's just print that, print JSON list2 and run it. And okay, so you can see here's it as a list. It doesn't have the indexes because it's now a list. So that's fine. Or no, sorry, I highlighted the 1 and the 2 and the 3, those are the indexes. And this doesn't have the 1, 2, and the 3. Okay. So now we're going to use the sorted function that is part of the regular Python library for sorting lists. And we'll say JSON3 equals sorted JSON list2 key equals lambda x colon x 0. Okay, so this lambda is, it signifies like a built-in function, but for our purposes, we can just use it as is. And let's see kind of what it'll spit out for us. Okay, so in theory, it should sort by the 0th element in the list. And so you can see here the 0th was A and D and C and B. And you can see after it's been sorted, A, B, C, D. Okay. Next, we're going to try and sort by the x square bracket 1 thing, which in theory should be the number. So right now the numbers are out of order, 22, 52, 100, 31. And let's see if it will put it in the right order. And so 22, 31, 52, 100. So that's in the right order, but the A, B, C, D is now A, D, B, C, which is not correct. And it'll work for the second one. And you see R, S, S, T, which is now in alphabetical order. All right, so that's how you would sort things. Well, I mean, there's many different ways to do it. This is one of the simplest way I found to sort dictionaries. All right, that's it for this video. Good luck with your to-do list.